What if I told you a goalkeeper signed for £20 million has just left the club, but he wasn't sold like we all expected? The story behind this decision is more surprising than it seems. Hi, I'm Rodrigo, and you're watching Newcastle Mania, the channel made by a fan, for fans passionate about Newcastle United. You blinked, and Newcastle suddenly made headlines everywhere. But hold on. Before we get to the main news that's going to leave many speechless, there are two other important updates we need to talk about first. But first, just a quick word. Remember those Chelsea fans who said this channel wouldn't grow because our fan base is too small? Well, they are starting to go quiet because our numbers are growing. So let's keep pushing. If you love Newcastle and want to silence them once and for all, hit that subscribe button right now. It costs nothing, but sends a message. Let's reach 1,000 subscribers together and show them what the black and white army is really about. Before we talk about Vlachodimos, remember that last week Burnley confirmed the permanent signing of Dubravka? That's right, two key goalkeepers have left in quick succession, and that's already started to shake the foundation of our squad. Dubravka's departure opened up a spot, but was Vlachodimos ready to step up? You'll soon find out the answer. To add to the mix, Newcastle brought in Aaron Ramsdale on loan from Southampton, with an option to buy. Have you seen what happened in his debut against Espanyol? A penalty save and a performance that even caught Eddie Howe's attention. But what about the battle with Nick Pope? That competition is set to heat up our goalkeeping position. Now, let's get to what really matters. Newcastle have confirmed that Vlachodimos is heading to Sevilla on a season-long loan. But why didn't they just sell him? If he cost £20 million, why only a loan? This is the part many don't understand. Let's dig deeper into what happened with Vlachodimos, because the story behind this transfer is full of nuances many aren't aware of. Vlachodimos arrived at Newcastle in last summer's transfer window, coming from Nottingham Forest. But it wasn't a simple signing. It was a complex swap involving big money and financial strategies. The club paid about £20 million for the Greek goalkeeper, while Elliot Anderson moved the other way to Nottingham Forest for £35 million. Deals like this don't happen by chance. It was Newcastle's way of complying with the famous PSR rules, the Premier League's profitability and sustainability regulations, which control spending and try to keep clubs from going into the red. In other words, Newcastle had to balance the books to avoid penalties or financial restrictions. But what was expected to be a surefire investment didn't quite pan out on the pitch. Vlachodimos barely got a chance to play. He came on as a substitute just once, in a 1-0 win over AFC Wimbledon in the EFL Cup back in October. In the Premier League and other competitions, the Greek keeper was scarcely used, starting only 14 games throughout the season, and those appearances were scattered and often not in high-profile matches. For a £20 million signing, that a very limited opportunity. Faced with this, Newcastle began trying to negotiate a permanent exit for him, because keeping a player who isn't playing, especially on a high wage and a long contract, doesn't make sense, particularly under the PSR rules. But here's a financial catch. Selling Vlachodimos for less than what was paid, or well below the club's expectations, would cause a loss in the PSR calculations, a loss Newcastle neither wants nor can afford right now. On top of that, the goalkeeper signed a 5-year deal, meaning the club is committed to him until 2027-28. This makes a quick, cheap permanent sale even harder. So, what was the solution? A season-long loan to Sevilla, a strong and traditional La Liga club, where Vlachodimos can look for more game time, play regularly, and prove his worth. This loan deal allows Newcastle to keep his contract active, avoid a financial hit for now, and gives the player a chance to bounce back and maybe return more valuable, or at least not lose money on him. It's a temporary fix that makes sense for both the club and the player, but it highlights the challenge Newcastle face in balancing financial fairness without losing competitiveness on the pitch. On social media and among the fans, Vlachodimos' departure has caused quite a stir. Many supporters have questioned whether it was worth paying so much for a goalkeeper who barely played, and is now leaving on loan rather than being sold. The press has also highlighted the situation as a sign that Newcastle is rethinking its goalkeeper strategy, and that the battle for the number one spot will now be between Pope and Ramsdale, with Vlachodimos out of the picture for now. Behind the scenes, it's known that Newcastle wanted to sell Vlachodimos outright, but they couldn't find any offers close to what they paid. With the Premier League's profit and sustainability rules, PSR, tightening, the club had to act carefully to avoid financial damage. Meanwhile, the Greek's 5-year contract works against a potential sale at a loss, which is why a loan was the immediate solution. Nick Pope remains a first-choice keeper, an experienced and top-level shot-stopper. The arrival of Ramsdale has brought healthy competition, and the Englishman has already shown his quality, like saving a penalty on his debut. Lakodimos, despite not delivering on the pitch, is a quality goalkeeper with international experience for Greece. At Sevilla, he'll have the chance to prove he deserves another shot, whether back at Newcastle in the future or elsewhere. It's not uncommon for big clubs to loan out expensive goalkeepers because the market doesn't always value the position highly when it comes to permanent transfers. This has happened at other Premier League and La Liga clubs. What Newcastle needs now is to find balance, to avoid losing money, keep the squad competitive, and ensure their goalkeepers get game time and develop their value. Now that Lakodimos has gone out on loan, the fight for Newcastle's #1 spot is officially open, and the season promises to be a real battle between two big names, Nick Pope and Aaron Ramsdale. Nick Pope, our current #1, already has the trust of the coaching staff and fans after some solid seasons. He's an experienced, reliable keeper who brings stability to the team. But with Ramsdale's arrival, the competition has heated up. Aaron Ramsdale isn't a rookie. He's proven himself at Bournemouth, Arsenal, and now comes to Newcastle on loan with an option to buy. He made a great start, saving a penalty in his very first game, sending a strong message to Pope and the whole squad. I'm here to fight for the spot and I want to play. If Ramsdale keeps up this form, impresses on the pitch and wins over fans, it's very likely Newcastle will look to trigger that purchase option next summer. And here's where Lakodimos faces a new problem. If Ramsdale stays and Pope continues in form, the Greek keeper will have very limited chances to return, let alone play. The competition for that spot will become even tougher. That could open the door to another move in the future, whether another loan or a permanent transfer. But all of that depends on how the keepers perform, the transfer market, and the club financial decisions. Speaking of finances, we can't forget the PSR, which remains a crucial factor in Newcastle's choices. The club needs to keep complying with these strict rules to maintain financial balance, and that will heavily influence future signings, contract renewals, and departures. Costly positions like goalkeeper are always tricky. Newcastle has to balance investing in quality players without risking the club's finances. So, Lakodimos' loan is just the start of a bigger process that might involve more moves, adjustments, and even reinforcements. The 2025-26 season promises to be decisive for this position, with plenty of work behind the scenes and a fierce battle on the pitch. We'll be watching closely to see how this fight unfolds, and of course, cheering for Newcastle to keep our goal well protected, giving the team the security every champion needs. This Lakodimos story shows that in football, what looks simple on the surface has a lot of complexity underneath. Every Newcastle decision is thought through carefully, balancing the present and the future, finances and performance. What really matters is that our team stays strong, with goalkeepers ready to defend our badge and our fans. So, Black and White Nation, what do you think about Lakodimos leaving? Will he shine at Sevilla and come back better? Or are his days at Newcastle numbered? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Share the video with the lads. And of course, if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button right now. I'm Rodrigo, and you're watching Newcastle Mania, the channel made by fans, for fans who love Newcastle United. See you in the next video, and let's show everyone the power of our black and white army.